You better say your prayers, you flea-bitten varmint. I'm gonna blow you to smithereens.
You do that and I'll kill you.
Alrighty, metalheads, welcome to another edition of Bullshitting with Bob, right here on Brutiful Metal Radio. This evening, I have Tony DeLisio from Mechanism. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on, Bob. I'm stoked to bullshit with you, brother.
Hey, thanks for going through the glitch with me right there.
Hey, no problem.
To let the listeners out there know, of course, you know, I always record the shows, and I was trying to get the recorder going, and for some reason, this evening, it did not want to work with Skype, because we were originally going to Skype this, but, you know, due to my military background, I have adapted and overcame the issue. So here we are. Yeah, everybody's doing the wave now. So, Tony, how are things up there in Washington?
Oh man, they're awesome. They've been mighty chilly lately, but all of the love Mechanism's been getting up here from all of our friends and family and fans is warming my heart to the point where it could be freaking 50 below, and I'd still be feeling damn good about everything.
I hear that, brother. I hear that. Down here in swampy Louisiana, we finally got a day with some beautiful sunshine. It was a beautiful day today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've dealt with, God, I believe it was like 14 inches of rain so far this month.
Wow, that sounds like an average day in
I
Seattle.
know, right? So, how have things been with Mechanism? I mean, I know you guys, you know, just released a new album, or about to release a new album. And in fact, listeners out there, you got to listen to the first two tracks. You got to hear Dear God and Devil with a Gun.
Man, we just released the CD this last Saturday. We played at a big venue called the Showbox, one of the premier venues in Seattle, before you get into the huge arenas that have like 30 and 40,000 seat capacity. We played with probably the biggest band in Seattle, headlined the show, and we were honored to be on board, and we thought, man, if there's ever a time to do a CD releases with these guys, they're called Window Pane. Their lead singer and one of the lead guitarists of the band, Glenn Cannon, is a guy we've wanted to work with going back since the very first day Mechanism did our very first jam. After the jam, we were like, so what bands do we want to play with? And everybody's like, Window Pane, Window Pane, Window Pane. And we were like, so we finally got to play with them just the other night, sold the Showbox out. The crowd was going crazy. We left the stage with everybody going, one more song. And that's one of those rock and roll memories, man. I'll take that to the grave with me, brother. It was just freaking incredible.
That is so awesome to hear, man. I wish I could have been there to experience that, really.
Yeah, I wish you could have, too. I did send over a couple videos, so you can I live vicariously through YouTube, though. So.
Oh, hell yes. I would really enjoy that. Definitely.
Thank you.
And like I was telling you before the show, excuse me, I am recording this, and when I'm done, I'll have it posted on YouTube, and that way those that couldn't make it to the show tonight can go back and, you know, check out the interview at a later date.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And, well, talk to me a little bit about how Mechanism started.
I used to play music around up here in the Pacific Northwest, you know, kind of back right around when the big, you know, grunge explosion happened. And I was always a metal guy. And I, of course, love bands like Alice in Chains and Grunt Truck and Soundgarden, and I give them all mad props. But our band was really doing well at the time back here on the scene, and basically all the labels moved up here, and they just said, you guys need to stop tuning your guitar, throw on a plaid shirt, and frickin' stop playing metal, basically. And I was like, yeah. So I ended up going down the rabbit hole for about 10 years out of the state. I do various computer stuff, and I was working for a a virtual reality firm that was taking me all over the country. And finally moved, I lived in all these different states. I kept on saying, man, this just ain't as cool as Washington. The people up there are the best people I've ever met. I need to get back up there. So within about a week of getting back up here, I got, a bunch of various friends of mine are like, Tony, what are you doing musically, man? Let's get a group together. And I was like, oh, guys, I'm a family man. I'm kind of chilling, blah, blah, blah. Well, a real good friend of mine, Ryan Renfield, our lead singer, he was one of the people I wanted to reconnect with after I got back up here. And he and I were online coincidentally looking for each other at the same time. I don't know if he just felt a disturbance in the force and so I thought I might have been around. So we both just hit each other up right at the same time, and we're like, man, where you at? And we thought we were both probably in different parts of the country. It turns out we were both living in a little suburb of the Seattle-Tacoma area called Puyallup. And he was like, oh, dude, I'm in Puyallup, lol, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm in Puyallup. And we were like, no way. So I went over and hung out with them and stuff, and he's like, dude, what do you think about jamming? And I was all, I don't know, dude, I haven't got loud in the band room for a while with my bros. Of course, I always play guitar,
Right.
The whole time I wasn't, playing in band. So he had a couple dudes to get together with. We went over there. We cranked it up. I got such a frickin' supercharging of the soul. I was like, damn, I miss this shit. All right, it's on. And then, of course, we went, then Mechanism was essentially born, and we went through all the frickin', jumping through the hoops to come up with a band name, which is always a colossal challenge. Every time you come up with something cool, yeah, you find out, oh, dude, there's already a band called, Bloody Shoe. And then it's like, oh, Bloody Shoe is taken. Damn it. All right, well, next, not that we're really going to do Bloody Shoe. But anyway, Ryan, one day, we all came in with our little chicken scratch napkins and various, our written articles with 20 band names each. And out of the blue, I don't think Ryan even had written down. He's like, what do you guys think about Mechanism? And that was one of those things where, everybody was like, that's badass. Yeah, totally. Let's go with Mechanism. So that's how that all came about. And from that day forward, we started writing new material. We're an all-original band, so it's not like we in any way segued from doing covers to originals. We knew from day one we wanted to create our own music. And where the band's at now compared to where the band was then, it's definitely evolved, and we've really kind of, I think, only in about the past year, really kind of, truly discovered the Mechanism sound and the pulse of the whole vibe. So we're really trying to, accentuate that. And we're not ones to sit idle. So the second this new album was in the bag, we're already starting writing on new material, and we tend to.
Hello, you there? Tony? Well, I think we lost Tony out there, listeners. Give me just a second. I'll throw on another tune or two while I try to get him back. So hang tight, metalheads out there. Listening to the Bullshit with Bob show. Always full of technical glitches. Are you there, Tony? And we'll be back in just a couple. Let's see. Alrighty. Hey, we're back. Alright. Okay. Metalheads out there, you got a chance to listen to another song during the glitch again. That was Equinox off of Mechanism's newest CD. And we do have Tony back, by the way. Bigfoot did not kidnap him. We have him here.
That's right.
Now, yeah, you were discussing, Mechanism coming up with the name and the going from there. Now, we were talking, during the break. I was explaining to, Tony, I agree. It's hard coming up with a band name. as most of you out there know, you know, I'm a guitar player, musician. I formerly had a band called Gutter Sludge that we do play on the radio sometimes. And I was explaining to Tony that the way we came up with our name was originally it was me, my bass player, and our drummer sitting around in a room. We hadn't even formed the full band yet, and my bass player was developing slap pop style into the New Orleans sludge sound and making it more metal. And he played this riff off of Face Your In, one of our songs, and if you guys like, I'll play it for you later on. But when he played the chorus riff, I blurted out, I said, man, that is some gutter sludge sounding shit you just wrote. And he told me, dude, that's it. That's the name. I'm like, what? You know, and he said, gutter sludge. I'm like, you know what? That has a ring to it. It sounds nasty, just like everything down here in the South. You know, it's got that swamp sound, and it fit. It fit the nasty music we wrote. But now, back to Mechanism, though.
Well, you know, much like that story you just told, when Ryan blurted out Mechanism, everybody knew that was going to be the name of the band. And it was great because as we're going down the list, one guy liked this thing, two guys like that thing, three guys like this thing. We all four got to be on the same page with that, of course. So
exactly.
When he said Mechanism, we were like, hell yeah, we're all about it. And then we found out that there was a couple other mechanisms out there, so we did a patent search, trademarked the name, and just made sure we had our bases covered. And didn't want anybody, you know, yanking the rug out from underneath us. So if any of you other mechanisms are out there, we own that shit.
There you go.
Anyways, yeah, and ever since then, we've been rocking like there's no tomorrow. We've had the privilege to open up for all kinds of great national acts. Some of our childhood heroes like George Lynch and Michael Schenker, Lizzie Borden, Sanctuary, Devin Townsend. Awesome bands that you know have all been really, really cool to us and gracious as rock stars, have given us great advice. And it's just been a wild ride, man. But up until I'm telling you, this new album, there's just something magical about it because ever since it's come out, it's been just like game on, and we're having a fucking blast, man.
Dude, that is so great to hear. You know, and it's great too that metal has come back fairly strong as of late. You know, because it was in a huge lull in the mid to late '90s. I mean,
sure was.
Thankfully to Pantera, they kept, you know, the metal alive, and you know, you had a few bands that were still out there, you know, but metal really went back into the underground. You
really did.
You don't really see the big arena shows.
During the '90s, the whole shit about shred is dead, and my response to that was, shred ain't dead till I'm dead, motherfucker.
That's right, exactly.
You know, a lot of people were like, it became unfashionable to have a guitar solo in your music and all that, and not, you know, there was some great music coming out all through that era, but there was also guys like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and a variety of other people wielding the force in the lead guitar realm. That stuff never went away. It's just the record companies were still in a position to dictate what's quote-unquote cool then. And I'm sure you'll agree, as a listener right now, it couldn't be better because we have a wealth of every kind of style you can imagine at our fingertips because of the internet now. And that has really gouged and impaled the long-standing music business where the record companies controlled the whole ballgame and were able to dictate what people were going to get and not get. Now it's listener's choice. People can listen to whatever they want, and me and the rest of the guys in Mechanism are music fans first and foremost. So when we get to go play with awesome bands like Window Pane or Black Diamond or some of the bands we just played with the other night, we have just as much fun watching and listening as we do playing. It's just awesome. The Northwest music scene, man, you got to get up here and check it out, Bobby. It's off the hook, freaking awesome. Not only are we surrounded by a wealth of talent, but there's an incredible sense of community, and everybody's working together, not against each other. There's not any of the petty jealousy or stupid BS. You get that once in a while, but by and large, there's just a whole lot of love and and it's an awesome thing to be a part of.
Well, you know, Deanna Vixen is originally from Washington State, and that's one place I've always wanted to go to, was the Pacific Northwest. And me and Buffy, I joke about this all the time, that I want to go Bigfoot hunting.
Oh, nice.
I want to go, and I'm a Bigfooter. Yes, I believe in Bigfoot. I know y'all can make fun all you want to, but I see videos on YouTube. But seriously, I always joke about this. I want to go up there, and I want to shoot a Bigfoot and make me a Bigfoot coveralls with the feet.
Yeah.
You remember like when you were a kid and you had like the one-piece pajama thing with the feet in it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make me Bigfoot coveralls like that, with the feet still
That'd be
attached.
Badass. I'm a big Bigfoot fan. In fact, I have a Bigfoot air conditioner in or not an air conditioner, but an air freshener in my car, and my big dog's name is Yeti, which of course is the Himalayan version of Bigfoot, the abominable snowman or whatever. So I'm right there with you, bro. Our band's all into the whole paranormal thing and into conspiracy theory and UFOs, and we don't necessarily live, breathe, and sleep that stuff, but we're very open-minded to it, and I definitely think Bigfoot's real.
Now, I would, going back to visiting the Northwest, I really do want to go and visit. I don't think I would ever shoot a Bigfoot. I don't think I could. I would love to be able to go and track one and see one. You know what I mean? But I want to go and visit the area. I've heard a lot of good things. One of my good friends, in fact, I used to write for him in a metal magazine when we both lived in Vegas. He lives in Oregon now. And he tells me how nice the Northwest is. And I really want to go visit because I hear it's just a beautiful area. And, of course, when you're in a beautiful area like that, the mindset of the people's, more relaxed. Like, down here with the heat and everything that we deal with down here, it's, people are really, uptight.
Yeah, man, it's honestly, it's not the heat that gets me when I visit that part of the country, it's the humidity. It's frickin', I know once you get acclimated, it's something you can deal with, but I played Rocklahoma with my good friends Electronomicon a few years back, and we're up there on stage in the heat of the day, and it was about 110 degrees with 100% humidity, and it literally felt like you were in the sauna from hell, and of course at that point the band all wore face makeup and stuff.
Right.
So your skin's not even breathing. It was insane, but I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. Getting to play with those badass mofos was just awesome. Owen happens to be from here in the Northwest, and he and I go back for years and years, and I love those guys. They even let me do a guest performance on a little guitar solo on one of their songs, I believe, and that was awesome. However, my body, I grew up in Alaska, so I am just not built for that kind of heat or humidity at all.
Right on. And I got a fellow named Maverick in the chat room right now that wanted me to let you know Musicians Forum magazine is online.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, tell him we'll definitely be hitting him up, and that's very cool.
Yes, Maverick, this is a live interview. He asked if it was live.
I'm sorry, but Maverick's not ringing a bell unless he's sitting next to Goose. So I'm not quite sure who that is exactly, but if they got some mechanism rocking on what he's talking about, then thank you, and we love you, and that's awesome.
He said he's still waiting for the T-shirt.
Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about. All right, well,
Gary.
Thanks so much for that amazing page and that you put up for the band, man. Everybody loved it. We've been getting a great response, and things have been crazy since the CD release. We're getting ready to do a big mail drop. We got a bunch of CDs that are waiting to go out, T-shirts, and all that good stuff. So hang tough. We'll get it out probably early next week.
Right on. Yeah, that's Gary Morton.
Right on. Hey, Gary.
Ha ha ha.
Gary Maverick Morton, the man, the myth, the legend.
But yeah, I mean the humidity down here, you never get used to it. You can survive in it. You learn to live with it, but you never get used to it. I don't care how long you live here, it still suffocates you.
You know, one thing I will say about the South, though, the people are pretty damn amazing, man. I mean, the hospitality I've experienced in the South is just awesome, and I like to watch, like, that Sons of Guns show that I think is filmed somewhere in your beautiful state.
Oh, it is, right here. It's right here in Baton Rouge. In fact, where Sons of Guns is recorded, that was my stomping grounds as a child.
Oh, no kidding.
I used to ride my bike through there as a kid, yep.
I mean, I love it, especially when they blow stuff up.
Oh, yes.
You know, that's how I roll. I bet those guys are pretty pissed off about Obama's little frickin' dog and pony show going on just the other night. I got a number of friends, you know, especially from growing up in Alaska. That's a serious gun-toting state right there. And, you know, a bunch of my friends are literally up in arms, pardon the pun, over the whole thing. And I guess we'll see how all that shakes out. Of course, you know, we all know the reason we have the right to bear arms is to be able to overthrow an oppressive government.
Exactly.
And I hate to say it, but there's some oppressive government shit going on. So, by the way, if a black man shows up here and I stop talking, I'm probably, you know, being tied up or subdued. So, you know, just getting that out there.
Well, we'll send a rescue party for sure.
Awesome. Yeah,
Now,
hit up the Sons of Guns guys, man. They're well armed. I want to see them try and take those guys out of business.
I tell you what, you know, a lot of us down here in Louisiana are strong Second Amendment supporters, and you know, us here at Brutiful Metal Radio, well, minus Deanna, she's scared of guns, but you know, I have an AK. Like I told you before,
nice.
I have a Yugoslavian underfolder with bayonet, by the way. And I will never put a clip in my AK that's less than 30 rounds. So, fuck you, Obama.
Fuck yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, establishment. In fact, we got a song called Illuminati. I don't know if you've had a chance to hit that yet, but that's all kind of about the globalist agenda and the people with all the money that are continually squashing us down so that they can have their 1% at 1% elite bullshit while the rest of us get to fight over breadcrumbs.
Right.
We're, you know, as a band, we fucking hold our middle finger up high and say, fuck you, motherfuckers, that's bullshit.
Now, with this whole gun control thing, okay, first off, let me just say, I think he's getting on this soapbox, trying to, you know, I think it's smoke and mirrors. He's trying to get people's minds off of Benghazi, you know, taking people's attention away from Syria, you know, and the illegal gun trade that they had going south of the border.
Right.
Because the government doesn't even practice gun control. I mean, they're giving fully automatic weapons to the drug cartels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They have for years. They do that to just screw up the economy and the quality of living for the people to where they can swoop in and essentially take over. And it's, you know, I mean, the bottom line is we're all stuck on this big, beautiful rock called the Earth together, and each and every person on this planet deserves a fair shake. And don't get me wrong, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American, and I still think this is the greatest country on earth. Unfortunately, some of the agendas going on that precedes the Obama administration considerably doesn't have our citizenship in their best interest at all.
No, they don't.
I think that, I think that it's all about them. And you know, watching this last election, I think that Obama only got elected because that Mitt Romney guy basically came out and said, you know, all you people that aren't massive multi-billionaires like me are scum. And that's, you know, people are pissed off right now. People are losing their homes. People's livelihood is messed up. And it's just plain not cool. And I got to tell you, a big part of what Mechanism is about is we have to deal with a lot of bullshit in the life, in our daily lives today. And we know that. And when people come out to a show and we're on stage and we look out and we see their smiling face, that's what we're doing this for, man. If we could take people away from life's bullshit even for 10 seconds, then in our opinion, we're doing a good job, and that's what we're going to keep on doing.
That's what it should be all about, brother. You know, when people go to a show, that they should forget about everything outside the venue. You know, and live in that moment, and that let all the problems, all the pressure just, you know, go away. You know, get in the pit.
Absolutely.
You know, bang that head. You know, give the energy back to the band. The band gives it back to the crowd. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and you just forget about the problems for a little while. So
right.
Make people smile.
Yeah, we as a band, we don't have an us and them attitude. We have an us attitude. Everybody that comes into contact with us, we make them feel like part of the Mechanism family, and we are very gracious and humble, and we love the people that support the band, and the bottom line is we support them in any way we can. And by the way, anybody that took the time to tune in and listen, thank you. We love you, and I mean that.
Yes, indeed. I always thank my listeners, because without listeners, I wouldn't have a show. Thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you very much. Very appreciated. A lot of Brutiful love going out to you. Now, Tony, talk to me a little bit about your influences and what made you a metalhead? What brought you into metal?
I think growing up as a kid, I was pretty into comic books, and I thought superheroes were cool because they were larger than life. I know I'm going down to nerd town, but I really could give a fuck. So, anyways, I was real young at this point, anyway. But I had a cousin that was a few years older than me, and he pulls out this Kiss album, and I saw Kiss, and I was like, superhero motherfuckers. I didn't know what they even were. And he shows me Gene Simmons' boots, and he's like, that's Gene Simmons. He steps on people with those boots, and he kills them. And I was like, yes! That was the coolest shit ever. So that was the initial spark. Of course, Kiss, unfortunately, not long after that, started doing some really questionable music stuff, in my opinion. I will always pay respect to them, but I wasn't into the Kiss Code Disco thing or a number of albums that they put out. Always will give them respect, but that early Kiss stuff, man, that was some powerful, life-changing stuff for me. And, I went down the whole line. I was mass into Rush. I think really what made me want to become a guitar player ultimately was Randy Rhoads.
Wow.
There's something about his playing that I found electrifying and magical and compelling. And I was like, man, I want to do that. As I said before, I grew up in Alaska. There weren't really any concerts coming up there, so I didn't get to experience the thrill of a live show, until I was in my late teens. So my early days of being into music was really from listening to CDs and putting on the headphones and cranking that shit up and closing my eyes. And I'm one of those guys that music will take me on a ride, man. I'll get whisked away, and be imagining all this cool-ass stuff. I was a huge Dio with Black Sabbath fan, of course a huge Black Sabbath fan in general, but really, really took to, Heaven and Hell and the Mob Rules albums, and into Dio's first few albums. That's some of my very favorite stuff. Iron Maiden is a huge influence and a huge part of my thing, and then the Super Shredder guys started to show up, starting with, Yngwie Malmsteen, and, I got way into Yngwie, got way into Pantera and Dime. I love all that stuff. I could bore you for hours with all the bands I love. Pretty much everything I've heard. I also am a big fan of classical music. I kind of got turned on to that through learning a bunch of Yngwie stuff. I got into Paganini and Bach and Mozart, and I definitely have influences that have played a role with my playing, my writing, and my way that I approach music from some of these classical composers, which a lot of people don't realize how closely related heavy metal and classical music actually is. You add some distortion and some double bass to that stuff, and boom, you're playing the same thing pretty much.
Pretty much. You're absolutely right. And I'm about to trip you out, Tony. Our walk through metal is very similar.
That's awesome.
almost eerily similar. I've told this story several times, but check this out. I was 9 years old, and up to this point, the only music I knew about was country music. That's all my parents ever listened to. That's all I knew existed. Then my best friend's older sister and her boyfriend won tickets to go see Kiss. This was in '78. And they were babysitting us, so they had to buy us tickets so they could go see Kiss.
Man, I'm jealous already.
And, say again?
I said I'm jealous already. I never got to see Kiss with their makeup on until they put it back on and were doing their reunion tours and stuff, but please continue.
That was my first experience with anything heavy. And
wow.
I went, and let me tell you, that was life-changing. Went to the show, and seeing Gene Simmons, you know, spit fire and blood and the pyro, yeah, I was sold. I was a rocker from there on out. And my older cousin was also hugely into Kiss and turned me on to a lot of the tapes, you know, well, the albums at the time. But you know, through my music career, I first experienced Ozzy and was turned on by Randy Rhoads. That made me want to pick up a guitar and play, want me to learn my modes and, you know, how to, you know, play theory and classical. And, of course, Tony Iommi was the one that shaped my riffing. And then Iron Maiden came along, which, you know, furthered me on that. And then when Metallica hit, that kind of brought me onto the heavy side of things.
Yeah.
But I'm like you with the. I was more fond of the Dio era Black Sabbath, the Heaven and Hell Black Sabbath, than the original. I do like the original, but I thought that the Dio era was more dark and gloomy, and Dio's voice really accented the music well.
Well, yeah, plus, I mean, you know, Dio live is he all the way, you know, to his unfortunate end. That guy delivered every single time he ever hit a stage. You could listen to the record, and you could listen to it live, and it was just dead on. There's a lot of my very favorite bands I can't say that about, and on a side note, it's one of my favorite things about our singer Ryan Renfield. That guy, of all the singers I've ever played with, I played with some great ones. That guy's the most consistent live vocalist I've ever played with. I have never really heard him choke or anything live. It's just awesome, and I have, you know, as a music listener, I have a great appreciation for that, because I know that's really hard to do, and it's really hard to have that kind of consistency and take good enough care of yourself to be able to deliver on demand whenever you need to, and he does. So whenever you get a chance to hear this, I love you, brother. I'm honored to be in a band with you.
Right.
He's a freaking badass guitar player. So, I mean, what's not to love, right?
Right. But yeah, man, I mean, it's trips me out that Dio at nearly 70 was outperforming a lot of his peers.
Right.
You know, half his
Absolutely.
age. I mean, the guy really delivered, and
Even in his prime, when he was in Sabbath, he was in his late 30s, early 40s, all the way back then. You know what I mean? So, when we all got introduced to Dio, nobody was sitting around thinking about how old Dio was. We were just thinking about how much ass Dio was kicking.
exactly.
And that's what it's all about. There's a lot of really, you know, great young talent that's up and coming around here. And, you know, you got the whole spectrum around that. But you really just can't, knock that experience. That's something that people can get chops at a young age, but you just don't have that conviction that you do as an experienced musician. I think we're all blessed to have been able to experience that from a guy like Dio.
Now, Tony, are you guys going to be going on the road to support the album?
We don't have any firm plans right now. We've been approached about a number of different touring situations, but we're kind of biding our time and wanting to do it right. We really don't. We've all, as individuals, been out on the road with different bands before, and you get into a new town, and they want like half your merch money, and then you got this white knuckle ride to another town where you're worried if you're going to have enough gas money to get there. None of us are independently wealthy, you know.
Right.
So we don't have millions of dollars in the bank to just go off and play rock star. So we want to do it right. Right now, basically, what we're trying to do is we've established a very strong foothold here in the greater Seattle area, which, you know, there's a whole bunch of actual fairly good-sized cities that are satellite cities to Seattle. You know, there's Tacoma, there's Olympia, there's Everett, there's a pretty good market here, and we have a strong foothold from the furthest southern point to the furthest northern point. What we're doing right now is we're trying to plant a big flag with an M on it in Portland and in eastern Washington, and probably hit Idaho as well. Once we have those markets well established, we'll filter our way into California. Although the response for this new album has been pretty incredible, and it's looking more and more like there is a chance to actually have some tour support and some financial backing to be able to escape that plan. But I'm living in the now. So until we have that in place, that's what our strategy is. And across the board between the band members, we all feel that that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, because you don't want to go on the road and, you know, as a young band, a lot of guys will hop in a van, you know, put a U-Haul trailer on the back and pull your gear, and before you know it, you have a blowout, you got to buy a tire, the tour's over. Because what little money you scrounge together, you know, I mean, you're eating ramen noodles and mac and cheese or whatever, but yeah, that one blowout, you got to buy a new fucking tire. The show is shot.
Exactly, and you know what? When we bring Mechanism to the masses, we want to do it right. We don't want to come in with like half a guitar amp not working or any other number of BS that can go along the way. We want to make sure when we introduce ourselves for the first time to new people that they're going to get the full-on Mechanism experience, not the watered-down, haggard dudes that barely made it there and are frickin' sweating bullets to even get it together to get on stage. So, some people may think that's a bad way to go. They're like, we get constantly told, no, you guys are too, you need to get on the road, blah, 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 blah. We're like, we will, man. We ain't in a hurry. I'd way rather do this right. And luckily, as a band, everyone's in agreement on that. We're pretty much well-unified force on all of our philosophies, and we have a great chemistry, and we naturally are all going in the same direction. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you've been in bands. You know how it is. Sometimes you got one guy that wants to do this, one guy that wants to do that. We don't have any of that crap. We just have we're a laser beam, not a flashlight. If that makes sense as a stupid analogy.
No, it does make perfect sense. Because a laser beam's a lot more focused than a flashlight is. A lot stronger energy.
We have had a couple band members in the past that have led us to this point that really weren't on the same page, and they're no longer with us, and we wish them well. But as it sits right now, we have the perfect lineup to do exactly what we want to do.
That is excellent. Now, you touched on something earlier that I wanted to discuss. You know, with the way the internet and social media and things of that nature has become, the rise of technology. From your opinion, do you see record labels not necessarily falling to the wayside, but maybe easing up on artists because artists have the ability to put their tunes on iTunes or Amazon.com themselves nowadays?
Well, I think kind of what's going on is that the record companies are not sitting like the fat cats they once were. They have to make very, very well thought out decisions right now because the giants are falling, and the fact that people are able to just, you know, independently market their music worldwide, that's nothing that's existed more than 10 years ago, and really even in the last 5 years with things like broadband finally coming out, YouTube being able to like watch a video of somebody, whether they're jamming in their freaking garage or they have a well-produced video or they're just sitting around playing guitar for their buddies or they're demoing gear. There's a whole lot more avenues for all of us as individuals to get our stuff out to the world. And the bottom line is, people either like shit or they don't, Bobby. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You put something out that people like, they're into it. Now, I think what the record companies really are doing at this point is they're sitting back and they're looking at metrics and analytics and all that kind of stuff, and they're taking a look at what people's numbers are. They want to see what kind of things a band can do independently without a powerful organization that's well connected behind them. I think they figure, okay, well, if these dudes are able to move, 5,000, 10,000 units independently without any kind of giant budget or $1 million videos, then these guys have got something going on. I think it's entirely possible to bypass labels all the way. If somebody wants to come along and give us a life-changing opportunity to sign up with a major label, we're certainly going to look at that very carefully. But let's face the facts. Most record labels, the deal is, at the end of the day, is you are getting in bed with somebody that's giving you a high-interest loan that's going to basically own your ass, and it's not going to win, and may well infringe on your creative freedom. There's a lot of unsavory things that go on. Luckily, there's a lot of independent labels that are able to turn on a dime. They're not this monolithic giant like some of the big ones are, and they're able to adapt to this situation. The bigger labels, I think, are more gravitating towards big, huge pop stars now. Look at Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga and all those guys. I'm not into that music, but I appreciate each and every one of their success, and I can see why the labels are behind them. They sell out giant arenas wherever they go. They have worldwide fan bases. I think it's made it a lot tougher for a band like us or you guys or, any of the upcoming independent hard rock artists. I think it's been more difficult to get in with a major label, and a lot of people are dismayed over that. My perspective is, with a big problem comes a big opportunity. You just need to be paying attention to the opportunity, not the problem.
Exactly. And like you said, really all the major labels is upfront cash. That's all they are. And if you're going to, basically depend on a big label to do that, why not go and take a big loan out? Because you'll get a lot less interest, and you'll still own your copyright. You'll still own your image, your music,
Right.
And you can hook up with BMI or ASCAP or someone like that to chase down your royalties.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, aside from the money record labels have, obviously, is relationships. In my opinion, all walks of business is all about relationships. If you got a guy with a fat Rolodex that can get on the phone and go, these guys are blah, 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 whether it's a radio station or a venue or whatever it is, sure, they can open great doors for you, and we would love to have that kind of an advantage. But as it sits right now, we're going to do everything we can to make those things happen ourselves. And it may well come to a point where a major label does come around, and we're going to be like, that's cool, guys, we're not, we don't really need you. And frankly, I would love that. I mean, a lot of people might think I'm crazy for that mentality, but it's pretty dang satisfying doing stuff on your own without somebody telling you, oh, yeah, you need to put this part in this song, and you need to have a freaking ballad, and you need to have a this, and you need to have a that, and they want to take you away from not only what you're passionate about, but what made your fans like you in the first place. I could go down a long list of bands that I used to love that have been
watered down
to the point of horribility. You know what I'm saying? So,
exactly.
Fuck that, man. We're sticking to our guns. I could have jumped on the grunge bandwagon and probably have a mansion right now, but I'm a metal guy, and I'm going to always be a metal guy till the day I die.
Me too, brother. Me too. Now, something else you touched on, I want to hit real quick, and then we're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna pop some more tunes up. You was talking about how a lot of the venues, when you go on tours, or even dartboard touring, as we call it, they want a piece of your merch.
Right.
And a lot of venues now are getting to where it's pay to play. Like if you go down to SoCal specifically, like the whiskey, they're going to give you 10, 20 tickets to sell.
Right.
And if you're not from the LA scene, how the fuck are you going to get 10 or 20, sell 10 or 20 tickets? No one knows who you are down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's really fucking bogus.
You
end
have
up
things like social media to help us out with developing an audience and the internet to develop an audience in those different markets to help with that, but you're absolutely right. And that situation is certainly not based only in SoCal. Here in the Seattle area, there's a couple clubs around town that have a very strict, if you're going to play here, you're going to sell tickets policy. A lot of my friends that are in bands are very upset about that. I have a little bit different of a philosophy about that. I think that if somebody buys a ticket to a show, they're probably going to show up to the show. And so at that point, it's all about negotiating whatever the split the band gets versus the split the venue gets. And there's a lot of people that want to sell $25 tickets and give the band $2. Let's face it, that's lame, right?
Very lame.
But, you know, as you kind of work your way up the friggin' little chutes and ladders universe, you tend to get you tend to get better split when they see that you're willing to get out there and do the work and hustle tickets and do all that. So I don't really look at that as pay to play. I look at it as get paid more to play. However, when you start moving into a completely different market that you have no, fan base in, that gets very tough. And that's where you just got to be savvy about having a good booking agent and good management and good people to make sure that they know, look, if you do some promotion for this band and you get the people in the door, we will rock your fucking face off. And that's why we've spent the last 4 or 5 years refining the Mechanism product and the Mechanism experience to where we, like, at this point, feel 100% confident we were going to deliver the goods wherever we are. If we are put in a bad situation where, it's dependent on us to market ourselves, and in market we have no fan base or experience in, that's going to work against us. And it's because of stuff like that is exactly why we are doing everything we can to shoot ourselves out all over the world. And I thank you so much for having us, being broadcast over there out of Louisiana, and this is going out worldwide. Mechanism does want to come and perform for all you people out there, and we will be there. We're just going to do it. We can come in and do it right.
Right on. Well, Tony, let's go ahead and we'll take a break, and we'll throw some tunes on real quick. Gary, you stick around. Don't leave. I'm going to throw on Illuminati. Hang tight.
Awesome.
Let's see. We've got... I'm gonna do 3 in a row. We're gonna play Illuminati, Machine, and Nothing Changes. So, metalheads, you're listening to the Bullshit with Bob show right here on Brutiful Metal Radio, and we are talking with Tony DeLisio from Mechanism. So stick around, fuckers. We'll be right back. Alrighty, metalheads, welcome back to the Bullshit with Bob show right here with me, Monsignor Bob, on Brutiful Metal Radio, and we are talking with Tony DeLisio from Mechanism. You just got through listening to Illuminati, Machine, and Nothing Changes. Of course, you got to listen to half of Machine and got to listen to it in its entirety again due to the computer being glitchy. I think Skynet is, above us and we're about to get terminated. Well, welcome back, Tony.
Good to be back, my friend. Man, I gotta tell you, I really love bullshitting with Bob, and I've been having a great time bullshitting with you during the break, as much as I am when we're on air, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Oh, dude, like I said, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and, I really apologize for having to postpone it, because we actually had you set up earlier, but I had some family issues to deal with, and glad you were able to, come back on here and talk with us.
Oh, man, well, I'm real glad to be back, and I was so sorry to hear about all that stuff, and, man, I hope you're hanging in there. That's got to be a super tough thing to go through. And,
man,
God bless you and your family, man.
Back in November 27th, like I was telling you earlier, my father... Well, I just knew he was about to pass away, and I got the call, and I was supposed to interview Kane Roberts that night, who used to play guitar for Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah, big, huge guy.
Huge guy. And,
Incredible Hulk.
Oh, he is so, he is a very class act. Very. He actually called me that night to console me.
Wow.
I know, we had to cancel out, and, I was 30 minutes away from interviewing the man, and had to back out, and because we were getting ready to, at the time we were living in Alabama, and getting ready to come back here. I took a week off from work, and was, as far as I knew, I was coming home to, bury my father, and we didn't at that time. He pulled through. I think he waited till I came home, and we had a chance to talk and everything, and
Well, that's so awesome. You had the opportunity to you know, spend some quality time with your dad before he left us. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, here's the really funny thing. Life throws you curveballs at time. My father passed away on December 15th at 8:27. My grandbaby was born 6 weeks early at 8:42 that same morning.
Whoa.
Now I'm not big into, you know, I'm not religious at all. You know, I'm a very devout atheist, and but my dad made a comment that he wanted to hold his great grandbaby, and I think somehow he did.
Man.
Somehow between, you know, the nether, you know, they touched.
Well, that's, you know, yeah, they may have at the very least, waved on the way by, right?
Right? I mean, it's so spooky, you know, within 15 minutes.
You know, a friend of mine had almost that exact thing happen, where he had a grandson born right as his father passed, and you know, going back to some of that paranormal stuff that we've talked about, I've read up quite a bit on the whole reincarnation concept, and I'm really not opposed to it. You never know. Your dad might have just changed bodies and traded it in for a nice young new one. I mean, who's to say that's not the case? You know?
Well, you know, that's something me and my mom talked about, and we're going to wait and see how he acts, because Dad was rather cantankerous. After that first scare, I came back, I did a show, and I shared a lot of what I called Pop stories. I called my dad Pop. And I shared a lot of stories, you know, about the way he was and kind of shit he pulled, you know. He was a very cool guy. His thing was to make everyone smile. And he always wanted to get a laugh out of everyone. And I'm waiting to see how my grandson is when he gets a little older, see how cantankerous and, you know, how mischievous he gets.
Yeah.
So.
Well, at the very least, no matter what, you know, the fact that he came into the world right when your father left, you know, I'd imagine he's going to have an extra special place in your heart. I know any grandchild would, but, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
You know, our album is called Shadows and Dust, and that song is literally about our mortality, and we're on a one-way trip. You know, life is a terminal disease. And the second we're born, the clock starts ticking, and it's all about live life to the fullest. You know, hold the people you love close to your heart, hold them dear, and experience those moments. And it sounds like your dad was a really wonderful person, and that just hearing that he liked to put a smile on everybody's face, that's kind of what I'm about too. So, you know, once again, sorry for your loss, but hey, man, a lot of people don't get an awesome dad. It sounds like you had one, so that's pretty damn cool.
It was, you know, and he was one of these guys, man. He was very supportive. He was one when we were teenagers. You know, he didn't want us going out drinking, so he would go and buy us beer and would sit there and drink beer with us because he knew we would do it behind his back.
Right.
And he didn't want that. So I mean, I was allowed to do things around the house that most kids weren't. You know, I was given a lot of freedom that most kids, you know, most teenagers didn't have, because that they would rather me do it at home instead of going out abroad and getting in trouble and getting thrown in jail and things like that. But you know, the big rub of it all, you know, with him raising me that way, was it taught me responsibility from a young age. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't be stupid, don't go overboard, kind of a deal.
Yeah. Well, he was there when you started to get a little bit too drunk, and a lot of times teenagers today, you know, they get shit-faced for their first couple times, and then they go jump in their car, and then they're not around anymore.
Exactly.
And I'm sure, much like myself, you know, my period between I was like, say, 16 and 19, I lost quite a few friends to that exact situation. And I was a wild child, and, you know, I still have my moments where I try one on a little too much, and thankfully everyone still puts up with me. But, at least I have the sensibility not to try and, put my life or other people's in danger when I'm under the influence. At the very least, I'm pretty good about that.
Well, that's one of the things that comes, the wisdom, I guess, you get with age,
Yeah.
Now, I want to throw some shout-outs real quick. I want to welcome to the show, of course, Dirty South, welcome back. Keith, Dark Black Death Dude from Hell and Stuff, man, glad to see you in the chat tonight. Mel69, of course, Brutiful Vixen, she's always there throwing up the links for us. Buddy Cat, always good to see you in the chat room, lady. Thank you for showing up. Now,
And me.
I'm going to get Deanna to throw the links back up for us if I can. I'm sure got you on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I've been talking to Deanna and Buffy for a while on Facebook now. I'm glad to know you and I are connected on there because this certainly won't be the last time you and I are talking, my friend, radio or not. You seem like one hell of a cool guy and somebody that I'm excited to have in my life. So, and I meant every word I said. You guys want to come up north? I got a place for you to stay. We'll have a great time hanging out. I'll show you around. We'll go out Bigfoot hunting and we'll do some rocket too.
Oh, right on, brother, right on. And yes, definitely believe it. This won't be the last time we talk.
Road trip.
Oh, yes, road trip, definitely. Well, we got, let's see, facebook.com/mechanism206. We've got www.mechanismweb.com, reverbnation.com/mechanismband, soundcloud.com/mechanism253, and she threw up a YouTube /watch, okay, she's throwing up video links. It's got a bunch of Greek googly-goo in there.
To read out.
Yeah, it's like
YouTube for Mechanism.
Yeah, just check out Mechanism on YouTube.
Yeah, if you type in Mechanism Seattle or Mechanism Showbox or Mechanism Hard Rock Cafe, you'll get all kinds of different stuff. And then there should be some of those little videos that show up on the right. We've got probably, at this point, 40 or 50 live videos. We have this wonderful, very gorgeous girl named Shannon Harper who comes out and films a lot of our shows. She does an awesome job. None of the videos have a bunch of distortion and like we can barely hear it. She knows when the guitar solos are. She knows when the cool drum riffs are, the cool bass riffs. Of course, she hones in on Ryan when he's singing. She does an awesome job. So Shannon, if you ever hear this, thank you. Mechanism loves you. You kick ass.
Now, Tony, let me ask you, what kind of gear do you use?
I was a dual rec guy for years, and I had some problems with consistency with those. Mesa Boogie dual rectifiers, what I mean.
Right, the old Mark III's.
I do computer graphics and marketing for a living, so I'm a bit of a computer guy. And once Line 6 came out with that first old school pod, I was like, wow, this thing's cool. And I'm a big Line 6 supporter. I use a Line 6 Veta 2 HD as the head that I use, and that it does two different amp models at the same time, has every effect you can imagine, has a really cool floorboard that you're able to turn effects on and off individually as well as switch between hundreds of patches if you want. Of course, I don't use anywhere near that. I use ESP guitars pretty much primarily. I've also got an Ibanez US Custom that I'm fond of, but it's been kind of sitting in this case for quite a while. I really love my ESPs. I use monster cables for my guitar cables. Use Elixir strings or Blue Steels. I'm fond of those as well. That pretty much covers it. I'm not one of those guys anymore that's lugging around a big refrigerator rack. I used to have an Eventide harmonizer and a Roland digital delay and a bunch of other stuff, but the Line 6 head that I've got's got all that stuff and more built right into it, and it's really made my guitar tech a whole lot happier. I have this badass guitar tech named Rick Pudbroff, and he's been working with me going back, a couple decades. He's been there through thick and thin. In fact, that's something that we're very fortunate to have. A lot of local bands don't get. We've got a full road crew. Mark Lemer's our road manager. We got Terry Keller is our merchandising specialist. We've got Jim Poole is our bass tech, and Randy Towns is our drum tech. And these guys are every bit as much of the show as we are, man. They dial everything in for us. They get everything going good. You know, we just pretty much show up to the show, grab our guitars, and rock. These guys are a well-oiled frickin' basically like the rock and roll equivalent of a NASCAR pit crew, and we love those guys.
Right on. Now, you know, you were talking about Line 6. I'm a huge Line 6 advocate. I've got the Spider 3 HD 150 that I love.
Nice.
And I haven't bought the large floorboard yet. That's the next thing I'm going to get. But I'm a
Very
huge
cool. Yeah,
Line 6
fan.
fan.
It, man. It's awesome.
I'm a huge Line 6 fan. I love how you can go and download patches from the Line 6 website.
Me too. I'm a little bit addicted to it, to be honest with you.
You know,
I'll sit on there and spend hours just like finding out, like, all, you know, I have so many tones in my amp that I don't necessarily use the mechanism, but I love exploring the boundaries of, you know, the guitar and my amplifier. We're fortunate enough to have a couple friends up here, Ryan Fluff Bruce and Jason Burns, who are these two guys who are, you want to talk about two dudes that are super, super savvy with technology. In fact, they've got a show they're doing called Gear Addicts. And if you guys out there that are into gear or want to learn more about what's hot and what's not, check them out. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. They're doing a show that's kind of the equivalent of, you remember the Man Show with the girls bouncing on trampolines? You ever see that?
oh, yes, indeed.
Well, they're doing basically the equivalent of the Man Show, but with music gear. And those two guys played a massive role in making this new Mechanism album, Shadows and Dust, what it is. They both worked tirelessly around the clock for the last couple weeks leading up to the CD release. Just busting their ass and making things happen. Super cool guys, super smart guys. Both of them are amazing musicians. And I can't thank those dudes enough.
Man.
Yeah,
I
check
tell you,
out Gear Addicts, man. Awesome stuff.
you know, we will definitely check that out. But it sounds like you are just ready to bring it worldwide, you know, with the crew and everything.
We've really, like I said, we've really been refining our product, and when we're playing the local shows around here, of course, we want to do everything we can to entertain our local audience, and we love them very much. But every time we're on stage around here, it's like band practice to go out and do it for real to the world. Getting to play that big, huge show with that amazing band Window Pane we did at the Showbox, we sold that fucker out. 1,300 people in there, rocking their face off. Man, the energy that was hitting us in between songs is insane. There was a mosh pit going on. It was just, it's like it's like one of those rock and roll dreams you have when you're a kid. And I certainly am never going to be in a position where I'm going to take that kind of stuff for granted. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I just want to thank Glenn Cannon once again for believing in the band enough to let us be a part of that. It was a beautiful thing.
Well, we're going to get to the weird questions now.
Okay. I'm a weird guy. I can roll with it.
Right on. Growing up, what was your favorite cartoon character?
I'm gonna have to say Scooby-Doo.
Nice.
Nice.
I was a big Scooby-Doo fan. In fact, we were just talking about some concepts for a video for Shadows and Dust that, once again, you know, it's about mortality, and we're talking about having a Grim Reaper in there, and of course we're going to have some hot chicks too, to, you know, balance all that stuff. We don't want it to be depressive. We want it to be more about the celebration of life than the ending of it. But, you know, I thought it would be cool as hell at the end of the video to have, you know, we would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Oh, yeah, you got to have Old Man Withers in there.
Hell yeah. Yep. I to this day, like, there's all these, like, trippy industrial areas and huge shipyards all around here up in Seattle. Seattle's a major port for the West Coast. And there's all kinds of very Scooby-Doo type areas. So I'm always like, it gets real foggy here because of all the rain. I'm like, oh, go Scooby-Doo over there, look at that. So yeah, I gotta say Scooby-Doo, probably my favorite actual cartoon character growing up, and hell, I even liked some of the cheesy movies with the hot chick that they had playing Velma. I was like, damn, Velma's hot. Look at that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought about the movies. I thought they did a pretty damn good job on it.
Dude, what
I
played
did too.
Shaggy?
I mean, they were cheesy and campy, but I'm enough of a big kid to be able to, you know, not be tripping on, you know, you're watching a Scooby-Doo movie. I'm not trying to friggin' have some kind of, like, you know, Shakespearean experience. It's a friggin' Scooby-Doo movie. So, hell yeah, I thought they did a great job.
Right on. Yeah, mine was Bugs Bunny.
Right on. Oh, yeah. I'm definitely Marvin Martian, Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, and Roadrunner, and all that stuff. I love it all. I love cartoons, period, man.
You know,
I'm not ashamed to admit that.
I love Bugs Bunny most of all just because he was such an ass. I mean, he could be a dick, and he was so nonchalant about it. He'd eat his carrot like, you know, what's up, Doc? What the hell, you know?
Yep.
But I've thought about this last night, and there was one I always missed. I used to love watching, and that was Hong Kong Phooey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget about him. I used to love watching Hong Kong Phooey as well.
What about
Yeah, I got a little karate outfit for my dog Nato, and I always call him Hong Kong Philly. My wife loves to dress up my dog. He's just the sweetest little dude. I got my little dog Nato, and then my other dog Yeti, who looks like a Yeti. I'll send you a picture of him. You'll crack up. He looks like a little Bigfoot dog.
Right on.
About 120 pounds and shaggy and, you know, cool as hell. But, yeah, I love Hong Kong Philly and, Jabba Jaw, nah, nah, nah. You know, great thing. I loved all that shit when I was little. Man, you know, if I ever happen to see it come on, it's kind of weird now. Kids watching shit like the Teletubbies and some of the cartoons that are on now. I mean, probably the last modern cartoon I was into, other than like, you know, Death Clock, is Ren and Stimpy. I was a big Ren and Stimpy fan too. I got to give them some love on the cartoon front as well. That shit cracks me up like Space Madness. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man.
You know, I love that shit.
Yeah. Vixen brought this up. The last really modern one I liked was Johnny Bravo.
Oh yeah, Johnny Bravo cracks me up.
That dude was so off kilter.
Hell yeah. Kind of the Elvis guy, but with the Incredible Hulk body and shit.
Yeah. Chicks dig my pecs. Hoo-ha.
Yeah, classic. There was an oldie. I'm a big video gamer, so Johnny Bravo always reminded me of a guy named Duke Nukem.
Oh, indeed. Oh, yeah.
In fact, we're all such avid video gamers. We've got 3 songs on this album that were inspired by video games. Devil with a Gun is inspired by shooter games, as well as Prepare for War. And so is the song Them is actually about being on that Black Ops game killing zombies. We love to kill zombies. Ryan, our lead vocalist and fellow lead guitar player, he is a certified killing machine. That man puts in some hours, and he's got like, you know, if he doesn't have like a 25-1 kill to death ratio, he's not happy about it. He is a freaking proficient slaying machine. Wow. Yeah, in fact, anybody wants to get their ass on, go look for Sir Renfield 666. You can find Ryan, and he will happily shoot you in the face.
Now, the guys in the chat room are bringing up some pretty cool old cartoons up. My buddy Keith has brought up the Super Friends.
Oh, yeah.
As well as Space Ghost and Johnny Quest.
Oh.
And Buddy Cat brought up the Tick.
Dude, I love them all. I love every single one of them. Space Ghost I always thought was hilarious. I thought it was funny how he had the talk show and always picked on the bug dude. I forget what the bug guy's name was, but he always made that guy to live in hell, and he was always sarcastic and funny as hell. And
now on the cartoon side of things,
I haven't outgrown the cartoons. I still think they're awesome. I love anything that's fantasy oriented. I get more than my fair share of reality. I like to escape on any level I can.
Now, you know, on that note, growing up, I was a big D&D geek. I love playing Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, I recently, well, in the last 2 years, went and repurchased most of the 4th edition stuff.
Dude, what a trip, man. You and I have just a stupid amount in common. I was way into D&D, and I also got into a lot of the MMO games like, you know, World of Warcraft and EverQuest 2 and Rift, and I had to actually stop playing those games because I'm so into it that I don't do anything else. So
I know people that are like that too. That's why I've stayed away from those games, because I knew if I got into it, I would do like my friend does and ever crack out.
Yeah,
you know?
Man, for years, some of my bros I grew up with in Alaska that I used to play D&D with, and Alaska's a good place to be into D&D because it's like dark 8 months of the year and colder than shit. And so you're stuck indoors, and we would sit there and play D&D, and I people clown me for that shit, and I'm like, you know what? Playing Dungeons and Dragons is like taking your imagination to the gym.
Exactly.
I think it served me well, and man, if we lived right down the street from each other, I would be hitting you up right now to come over and roll up a character. I would love to play some D&D.
Now, on the cartoon side of things, though, a year ago, we were at a little store in Alabama called Fred's. It's kind of like a discount store. And, they have like $7 DVDs. And I found the complete series of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that used to come on Saturday mornings.
Nice.
Oh, yes. And Buffy hated it because I sat there and watched the whole thing twice.
I love those cartoons, but I gotta say, a couple of the Dungeons and Dragons movies were pretty damn disappointing.
Yeah.
It was like Cheese Fest 2000, It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Man, why do you gotta make this stuff look so stupid? On the other hand, being a former comic book lover from back in the day, too, I gotta say, I love the hell out of all these new movies. I was a big Iron Man fan when I was a kid. I thought that Robert Downey Jr. does an awesome job as Tony Stark. I loved the Iron Man movies and the Avengers, and so I thought Thor was badass. I love all that stuff. That's just, I just, my wife's not all that into it, but I think it's awesome.
I was really impressed with the new Batman movies.
Yeah.
With Christian Bale.
I care for the last one, man. I don't want to see Batman as a broken down, defeated, gimpy dude. Batman, think about it. Like, if each movie was a comic edition, there's like, 500 issues out there of Batman or something, and by the third issue, he's giving it up and handing the reins over to little Robin guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't real thrilled with that, but I loved the first remake of the Batman Returns one and all that stuff. I thought that was the shit.
Yeah, the first two were really cool. I didn't like the fact that they brought Bane in so quick on the third one, because, that was way along in the storyline in the comics.
Plus, I always thought Bane was like, I don't know why, I always thought he was Spanish or Latino or something. I didn't get the whole weird English accent. I always thought Bane was a kick-ass character, though.
He is, but like I said, it was way along the line. Batman never got a chance to deal with the Penguin or any of the other major characters, the Riddler, right. And I'm glad they got away from the other series. I like Michael Keaton in the first two. Then after that, it got cheesy.
I thought, when I first heard Michael Keaton was going to be Batman, I was like, are you kidding me? And then I seen it, and I thought he did an exceptional job. And, George Clooney and Val Kilmer are both great actors. In fact, Val Kilmer is probably one of my favorite actors. But I would have been very happy if they just kept Michael Keaton. It seemed like, what's his name,
Jim Carrey?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
That movie. Yeah, it seemed like that dude's been dosing on some really, really good acid. It started to turn into more of weird, colorful, trippy stuff than it had anything to do with Batman after a while. I was real refreshed when the new Batman series came out, although I gotta say, dude's voice where he talks like this all the time was a little overdoing it.
Yeah.
I guess it sells movies.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, I don't know, but the old series, the older series, it started getting like the 60s, with the Pow Kazam stuff.
I loved that series.
Well, it was good for when it was, but I've never cared for Batman and Robin. I always liked Batman, just the Dark Knight series, because it was always darker. Batman was more kick-ass. I don't know, it was just more noir. You know?
Well, my favorite thing about Batman is the fact that he's a superhero that could really exist. You know, he was just a badass with a bunch of really cool gadgets. He's kind of like, you know, Bruce Lee and James Bond rolled into one. He had the cool gadgets. He beat some ass. He, you know, had always the cool plane and the car and all the rest of the stuff. But, you know, you don't have to freaking get dosed by radiation and grow superpowers to be Batman. You just got to be badass.
And have lots of cash.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, somebody's got to buy them gadgets.
Yeah, you got to buy the toys, you know?
Right. Hell. Yeah. I would have to say, you know, Batman would be, if everyone's like, what would be which superhero you would be, Batman would definitely be on the list. Of course, Superman, too, because, damn, who's going to stop Superman?
Exactly.
You know?
Unless you got a shitload of kryptonite.
I'm a big X-Men and Wolverine fan, too. I always thought Wolverine was just the ultimate badass as well.
Well, I mean, with Wolverine, all you got to do is just pop those claws out.
That's right.
Who's going to fuck with you?
That, you know, as a kid reading those comics, because that's some violent shit. Those claws were not made to give somebody a love tap on the cheek. That's some violent, like, shredding people to bits kind of stuff. And as a guy who likes to shred, I think Wolverine's cool.
Now, overall, even, you know, growing up today, what would be your favorite superhero character of all?
Well, I'm a big fan of, like I said, both Iron Man and Batman, because I think that, you know, they were superheroes that, like, kind of technology enhanced. I think they're super cool. I also like Wolverine a lot because he just was, I liked his surly attitude and the fact that he pretty much isn't scared of a damn thing. Geez, I'm trying to narrow that down to just one. That's almost as hard as narrowing it down to just one guitar player. It's a good thing Randy Rhoads was so awesome, or I wouldn't be able to put him on the top. But I'm not sure I could really answer that. I got probably 10 favorite superheroes.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. If you could have one superhero power, which one would that be?
I'm going to have to go with fly.
Right on.
I think being able to fly would be the shit. Especially if I could fly super fast, or actually teleportation would be nice too. In fact, to this day, you know, it still pisses me off that our cell phones today are way fucking cooler than the Star Trek communicators. But where the hell's the fucking teleporter? Because guess what? I'd be fucking teleporting over there to play some D&D tonight, my friend.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And
you'd be welcomed over. Come on over. I got plenty of dice, buddy.
I'd be like, beat me up. Let's tear some shit up.
You know, me and the wife always discuss that because, you know, I always joke with her about, I do it country style. Instead of calling them teleporters or transporters, I call them beamers.
Yeah.
You know, because you can beam right over.
What's your guys' favorite superpowers?
Oh, God. Well, it would either have to be, I don't remember his name from the Fantastic Four, the stretchy guy.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Fantastic.
Yes, exactly. I would love to be able to stretch. That could be one cool one. Or, I have to agree with you, flying.
Yeah,
the ability
I don't know about you, but man, every time I ever wake up in a dream, that's the first thing I try and do is fly. I'm like, I want to frickin' fly around right now.
I mean, that would be so awesome. Oh, excuse me, honey, I'll be back in a couple hours. I'm going to fly to Milan and get me an espresso.
I would like to be having the power of Bewitched.
Buffy says she wants to have the power of Bewitched. She wants to be able to twinkle her nose.
And do anything?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would be way down with that too, because we could fly or we could teleport or we could do anything.
Right.
So that's a good one. That's kind of like almost up there with wishing for more wishes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Brutiful Vixen says she would like X-ray vision.
Oh, she's a dirty girl, is she? That would have been my teenage superpower for sure.
Oh, and yes. And,
you know, I mean, I'm a happily married man and I love my wife, but, boy, I sure do have a great appreciation for the art of the female body. I mean, so, yeah. Luckily, there's Playboy and stuff.
You know, that's the great thing about being a flaming lesbian, which I am. I mean, I am a flaming lesbian. I love the bush.
Yep.
And, yeah, I have a great appreciation for females.
Yeah, speaking of females, you mentioned earlier you wanted to maybe talk a little bit about my wife's glasswork and stuff.
Oh, yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, Buffy was telling me that your wife does some stained glass artwork.
She does, actually she does mosaic glass artwork, but it's very much the same process as stained glass, and she does work with stained glass. It's kind of cool. She, about 4 or 5 years ago, she woke up one morning and we're having the morning coffee, and she's like, I had the weirdest dream last night. And I was all, well, what was that about? And she goes, I had this dream that I was making these glass coffee tables that lit up underneath, and, like, I was, like, famous for it or something. And I was like, well, babe, because I don't know about you, Bobby, but I tend to take dreams seriously. I think that dreams are usually trying to tell you something.
My view on that, I think dreams are a window into reality.
Hell yeah. And sometimes more real reality than reality. But anyways, my response to that was, let's go to the glass store, let's find out what you can do. And my wife is like a, wonderful, beautiful woman, but she wanted to be like a scientist when she was a little girl. But not in the nerdy kind of way. She wants to, like, invent time travel and shit like that. So when she got into the glass stuff, she got way into it and started doing all this research and found out what all the cool tools were and just spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours before she ever cut her first piece of glass, learning the whole trip. And in the short time she's been doing it, she just does some stuff that is just, like, she's never satisfied with what she does. And she gets a new job or somebody consigns her to do some kind of custom piece of stuff, she could just sit down and crank out some random stuff or whatever. She always has to be outdoing herself. So it's pretty cool. So everybody that hires her is stoked with what they've seen before, but then when she gives them the things she made, they're like, whoa. There's this really nice lady, Renee, up in Alaska. She made this cool vase for that's all like glass, and she has dragonflies on all 4 sides of it. And she sent it up to Renee, and for like the first month after she sent it to her on Facebook, Renee kept moving it around her house and putting candles in it and stuff and taking pictures of it, and Ginger was just tickled pink. She just was, she's like, wow, that's so neat that somebody appreciates my art that much. And of course, I'm obviously super, super proud of her.
Now, does your wife have a website or somewhere where people can go check out the artwork?
Yep, she's got moonchildmosaics.com, and that's spelled a little different than normal. It's moonchylde.com, and also same spelling, moonchylde, mosaics, MOSAICS. You can punch that up and find her on Facebook, too. Her website is still a work in progress. You can see some of her stuff there, but if you go to her Facebook, you can see up-to-the-minute stuff, and it's really neat when she does work for people. Like, she documents the entire process. Like, she'll put up the pattern first that she's working with, then she'll show, like, all the various pieces of glass she's going to be doing, then she actually, like, you could do, like, stop-motion photography with all the pictures she puts up, and you could literally watch the thing be built from the ground up.
Wow. I'm going to definitely go check that out.
She's made a good friend named Priscilla, who does incredible stuff, too, and they have a little bit different of a style and a little bit different of a method, but it was so cool because she'd been a fan of Priscilla's. I think it's everything glass. Gosh, I should find out for sure. But honestly, if you go to Moonchild Mosaics and ask Ginger about her friend Priscilla, she would happily tell you where Priscilla's stuff is. She wanted to meet Priscilla for about 2 or 3 months, and she'd been really enamored with her stuff. Priscilla and her boyfriend Eric actually came out to a show, and they met for the first time, and they found out they had, like, so much in common. They've become, like, best buds now. So they are the ruling glass chicks of the Northwest, as far as I'm concerned.
Man, I tell you, I can't wait to go and check out the artwork.
What's that?
I said I cannot wait to go check out some of the artwork.
It's pretty neat, bro.
It's awesome.
It's just awesome to have, a wonderful person in my life to share my life with who's creative and literally, takes her imagination and turns it into something tangible, and people have that hanging on their wall, or, she works in a variety of different mediums. She's not really scared of trying new things, so she's made tables, things that are framed on a wall, vases, all kinds of stuff. And that girl Priscilla I was just telling you about, you walk into her house, and it's like a freaking glass museum.
Wow.
Plus, she's way down with the metal. Her favorite band is Bullet for My Valentine, and she loves to rock and do the glass stuff while she's rocking out, which, I feel the metal when I go in her house and see her beautiful glass. I'm like, yes, glass inspired by metal. That's fucking rad.
Now, Buddy Cat in the chat room is saying, yeah, link us up. Say it again. That's on Facebook. You can find her. It's Moonchild Mosaics.
Right, but it's spelled, the Moonchild part is spelled, let me see if I can just find it and I'll put it in the chat room. I'm kind of a pacer when I'm on the phone, so I've been sort of pacing around here. Let me find a link and I'll put it on in there for you here.
Right on.
So if anybody's been trying to talk to me in the chat, I've been so captivated by Bob because he's such a frickin' black belt at bullshitting. I'm not trying to ignore you, but I've been just wandering around my house having a great time. So, yeah, I'm not trying to ignore anybody or anything. Let's see here. This is Ginger. My wife's name is Ginger, by the way. And she's just the sweetest girl in the world. She's been so patient and supportive. I've been overwhelmed with all the music stuff going on, getting ready for this CD. And, you know how it is, Bobby. Sometimes your woman's not all that behind your musical stuff. At least I've been there.
Yeah.
Ginger's been freaking wonderful with all that.
I'm on my second marriage now, and my first one, she wasn't behind me at all. In fact, my first wife was actually jealous of my guitar.
Yep.
And
yep. I've heard the old, oh, what the fuck do you like that thing for? It's just a fucking, you dedicate your life to a piece of wood with strings on it.
Exactly.
My response to that is, fucking suck it. I'm just really glad, though, that I had a shitty first wife, so I can appreciate the wonderful woman I have in my life now.
You know what?
It sucks to deal with assholes or bitches. They got to be out there so you can appreciate the good people. You know what I'm saying?
I have to agree with you 100% because, I so appreciate my wife I have now. Buffy is just, she's behind me 100%. She supports me in everything I do, and as I do her, and we have each other's back, and there's no bullshit, there's no drama, there's no fighting, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Man. How about us? Let's frickin' do an air cheers to us being the lucky dudes with awesome women. Clink.
And I got Keith in the chat room. He's got the same thing, and Dean as well.
All right, dudes.
Hey,
by the way, anybody listening, man, hit me up on Facebook. I love to meet new people. I would love to talk to you more. And thank you again for tuning in to listen to my silly rambling. It's freaking awesome to talk to all you guys.
Well, again, man, really, really appreciate you being on the show, Tony.
Hell yeah, bro. I'll be on the show anytime.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I'll freaking start tuning in and getting involved in the chat because I love metal and I love what you guys are throwing down and I love what you're about, Bob. And honestly, man, you're probably going to get sick of me soon because after this conversation, I want to talk to you a whole lot more, brother. Oh, right on.
I'll never get sick of talking with people, man, ever. And you're welcome to call me anytime. We'll bullshit anytime.
That's awesome.
Now,
like I said, I really enjoyed our conversations during the break and stuff. In fact, we both got so carried away there we didn't realize the tunes weren't playing for a second.
I know, right?
That's pretty cool, because you know how it is. Some people, you talk to them for about 30 seconds, you're like, okay, I've got to go,
Oh, yeah.
So I always have mad appreciation for, really cool people. I'm still tripping on how much, the Kiss thing, the Randy Rhoads thing, that's all awesome. But when you throw in the D&D side into that, that's just like, wow, we need to talk. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. You know, I mean, I can see a beautiful friendship developing out of this.
For sure.
Now, you know, we're hitting on 2 hours now, Tony.
Well, damn, I could go 2 more, but I understand you got a time limit, my friend. So, you know, I just can't thank you enough for having me on. I'd really like to thank everybody out there for tuning in. Some of the local people that have been very supportive of the band. My good friend Louis G, who probably runs one of the absolute finest establishments in town and is an incredible chef and has awesome pizza. Love you, Louis. And Mike Savoya, incredible photographer. Owen from Electronomicon. Love you, bro. Omar from Metal Monthly. Love you too, man. I mean, I better stop now, and I'm not trying to forget anybody, but if I started getting into all the thank yous and the love, it would just bore everyone to tears, because I would just go on, because there's just so many people that are behind the Mech Band, and I love every one of you guys. I do, and thank you for everything.
Now, my listeners out there, I want to thank all of y'all for tuning in. Let me go through the chat room here. Of course, you know, Dirty South, thank you for coming back. Keith, Dark Black Death Dude from Hell and Stuff, you rock, my brother. In fact, I need to call you, probably tomorrow I'll give you a call, Keith. Dean, thank you for showing up. If the part that you missed in the beginning, I'll have this, you know, fixed up in probably about a week. I've still got a few more I've got to finish and post up, but I'll have it set on YouTube, and I'll pop it up on the Mechanism website, or on the Facebook page, and on your personal page, Tony, so you can spread it out if you want to.
Oh, hell yes, I'll spread it out.
Thanks, Vix, for always, you know, Vix is our backbone here at Brutiful Metal Radio. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I don't know, she's the glue that holds the wood together. You know, she really is.
You're talking about Deanna, right?
Oh, yes. That's Deanna.
I love me some Deanna. And, you know, she's actually the one that first hit me up. Her and Buffy both did about getting on the show. You girls rock. My life is better because you guys are in it, even though you're far away. I love you guys, and thank you for me on, and introduce me as such an awesome dude like Bob.
Yeah.
Right on.
We love you too, Tony.
And Buddy Cat, always love you having you around. I'm not sure who Moogly Cakes is, but you know, welcome to the show. And all you guys out there that are tuned in, that's not in the chat room, thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Now, stick around. We got tunes that are going to be rolling all night. And, Tony, if you would, hang tight on the phone for me for just a sec.
All right.
Now, I've got 3 more songs off the new album. We got Prepare for War, Shadows and Dust, and Them. And then I've got lots more metal coming your way after that. So, here we go, folks. Thanks again for tuning in to the Bullshit with Bob show right here on Brutiful Metal Radio. Global metal domination is what it's all about. Keep it real, bitches.